So perfect. Yeah. So welcome everyone, and we have Cassidy Daly from Altair and Centrifuge, and we want to have a quick AMA with her and get some good info on how their project is going and how it works with Bifrost with the crowd loans. So let's get started. So yeah, I have some questions for you. So I just want to talk about, can you give us a brief like intro on Altair? Some people may or may not be familiar. I'm guessing some people are big fans in here, and some people may have just heard of the project. So yeah, maybe you can tell us that, and also the relationship between Altair and Centrifuge.
So I can maybe start introduce myself. So I'm Cassidy. I work at Centrifuge, and we're the team behind Altair. I work on token design, and that's sort of expanded to like all things token related. And so that's also been, working on Altair, the token, how it's used, and what the use cases are there. So Centrifuge already exists. It's a standalone chain. Centrifuge finances real-world assets using DeFi. So we tokenize assets. We pull them together using our Tinlink dApp that's currently on Ethereum, and DeFi users can lock in DAI to finance those assets. And that's everything from like real estate to invoices to inventory. But Altair is coming in as our really experimental use case. So it's exactly the same as Centrifuge Chain, just like Kusama is to Polkadot. But it's where we're going to really push the limits of what asset financing can look like. So with Altair, you'll be able to tokenize lots of different types of maybe even crypto native assets. One of the concrete examples I could give is, say you want to get liquidity from a CryptoPunk. Altair will be flexible enough to be able to hopefully pull together things like CryptoPunks or other art NFTs and finance them with, say, maybe a Karura dollar. So that's what I'm really excited about with Altair.
That's very exciting stuff. Yeah, definitely. I think connection to real world assets is really cool, and it's definitely going to be a huge deal. So yeah, that's awesome. That's really exciting. Yeah, and then also, can you maybe tell us about too, like our what your strategy, what Altair's strategy is with the Kasama crowd loan, like what you guys want to accomplish at it, what you want to see you know, from this parachain.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of like going for one of these parachain slots, for us, the main use case for Altair right now is really testing everything before we do the crowd loan for Centrifuge Chain on Polkadot. So we really want the launch process to look exactly the same. And that will let us make sure that nothing can go wrong with Centrifuge Chain, which has real value right now. It's been a live chain for over a year, and so we want to be able to test all of that using Altair as that test network that it's meant to be. And so our strategy for the auctions has been for Altair really giving KSM holders a large part of the network. So we have this cap of 18% of the Altair token supply that can go to KSM contributors to the crowd loan. And we wanted to do that to really just like give KSM holders a huge incentive in participating in Altair and helping us grow the Altair network and then hopefully the Centrifuge network too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the community base. That's why whenever I'm looking at any of these, these parachain contestants, I do always want to make sure that the project, is community driven. That sounds good that you guys have that focus. Yeah, so awesome. Yeah, that's definitely like a big thing, and so it does sound like it's very important for you guys to get this parachain one, and it sounds like you guys are right on pace to win one, which is awesome. Yeah, so the demand for asset tokenization, like with real world, it seems like it's growing quite a bit. And I know you mentioned that earlier, and that's a huge deal. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, can you like maybe briefly tell us like how to tokenize and fund these assets on the Kasama network through Altair, like how the process is, and just kind of like a brief like explanation of how that all works and what what are the advantages of Altair in this regard?
Yeah, so with crypto native assets like an NFT, it's pretty straightforward. We would either the NFT would be native to Altair or we would use cross-chain communication. That's something that we're going to be like testing a lot with Altair to bring an NFT over to Altair from maybe one of these other pair chains. Um, and once it's brought over to Altair, or if it's some other, non-crypto native asset, an NFT is minted on Altair to represent it, those NFTs are pooled together on chain. Um, those pools then have, a flip side of it. So assets get pooled in on one side, and then in order to finance them, a stable token is locked in on the other side from investors, like DeFi investors. And so the stable tokens that we're really interested in working with are going to be like native to the Kusama ecosystem. So we're hoping to start with Karura Dollar. So then users on the other side would lock in Karura Dollar in order to finance those assets. These would be like totally revolving pools. So you'd be able to lock in that Karura Dollar, but as long as there's liquidity in that pool, be able to redeem that just as easily. And so we're hoping that it creates like a really flexible system here so that you can get financing for these assets, have liquidity come in and out super easily to make the whole system hopefully more efficient as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool that you guys have that tie-in with Karura and Akala because yeah, I love the kind of the camaraderie between these these parachain slots right now. I think you guys are all tying in pretty well together, and with Bifrost as well. And so, yeah, perfect, awesome. Yeah, so yeah. Speaking of Bifrost, so through the Bifrost SALP. So when you guys are doing the slot auctions, are you? It looks like so it's raised over a little over 7,000 Kasama, if I'm right, for Altair, through that process. Um, with the number of people voting and minting VSKSM, freeing up liquidity and all that, towards with Kasama staked assets. So, what other like collaborations are like in store for Bifrost and Altair and Centrifuge? In the future, do you see a lot more growing with that? Do you see that as like, are you guys excited about it, and how's that going?
Yeah, I mean, we love DeFi money Legos. And I think Bifrost is like really adding a huge part to that, which makes us excited. So I mean, it's really a great use case for people to be able to contribute KSM through Bifrost, getting that potential liquidity for their KSM, I think opens up so many possibilities. I think one of the things that we could start looking at in the future with Altair and Bifrost is getting liquidity on those positions in financing different asset pools. So, when you do lock in a stablecoin like Kura Dollar into one of these pools on Altair, you get a token back that represents the share that you have in that pool. Um, senior or junior tranche in that pool. And those tokens potentially we could connect over to Bifrost so that you could actually get liquidity for that position that you have in an Altair pool. And I think that's a really cool use case that we could start looking at in the future between Altair and Bifrost. Just expanding those DeFi money Legos even more. So I think that's a really cool use case, and I'm excited to see if we can make that happen really soon.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. That's awesome. Yeah, I love these expansion. Just how much we can see how much our liquidity can grow. That's really cool. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. So a while ago, I saw that you were hosting a wildest assets to capture the imagination of of asset financing and all that. And do you have any stories like can you tell us about like some of your team's wildest ideas and like just something crazy? I'm just curious what you guys have thought of or anything interesting with that.
Yeah, I think one of the use cases I mentioned just before, financing these crypto punks. I think it opens up a whole host of challenges there. So it sounds really exciting to finance a CryptoPunk, but one of the issues is that unlike maybe an asset in the real world, there's not really an easy way to find a market price when you don't really have a market for these CryptoPunks that's super liquid. So some of these CryptoPunks, they've never actually been sold. And so it's kind of difficult to see like what someone would actually buy this like brand new asset that we've never really encountered before, this, these NFT pieces of art, when they don't have liquidity, and the whole crypto market can sometimes fluctuate quite in quite large swings. And so that's going to be one of the challenges, I think, in like targeting that sort of experimental asset. One of the other cool ideas that we saw is potentially, so it's kind of like a real world use case, but sort of on the edge, is tokenizing like city trees. Apparently, I just learned this, city trees have value put on by the city. So New York City is one example in terms of like how much money they save the city from things like air conditioning, and like flood damage. And we could tokenize those trees and potentially take out loans on the value, to be able to fund more like green initiatives in the city. I think that was a really cool use case. I'm not really sure what that can look like in detail, but it's a really cool idea to start off with. So those are some of the ideas that I thought that came in that seem super interesting and sort of pushing the boundaries. And I think that's really what we want on Altair.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, tokenizing trees. That's a new one. I didn't really think about that too. Yeah, I guess the trees do have value and everything. Obviously, they provide so much for us, with oxygen and everything. So that's really cool though to see to see tokenizing trees. That's an interesting idea. Definitely. Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So, what has been Centrifuge's recent focus? Like progress on planning, like to winning this slot. Like, how are you guys maximizing the value of the slot? Like, do you guys have anything special focusing on mostly right now, or is that kind of, where is your focus and that I guess the most intended on winning this auction?
Do you mean like how we want to win this auction, or like what we want to
Yeah,
do once we get the
yeah,
slot?
maybe your immediate planning priorities, like like what you guys plan on doing. I guess maybe right off winning the plan, if you guys winning the auction, maybe talk
Yeah,
about
for
that.
sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, so our main plan, like right after winning the auction, is like having a very clear launch process and hopefully quick launch process. So we've got like it's going to be really similar to a bunch of the other chains, like implementing governance and collators and eventually balance transfers. So that will be like a pretty standard launch process. But then the next thing that we want to release that we're working hard on right now is being able to have NFTs native to Altair really soon after launch. And so this will be like the first step in being able to then, launch the asset financing on Altair itself. So it's going to be a little bit of a process to get there, but NFTs are the first big step. And we're working on making sure that that can be live at ASAP. So that's like our really big push right now. And then the next big thing will be working on a couple of integrations with these other parachains. And so we're working really hard with some other teams to really nail down what that can look like and get out first proof of concepts, hopefully really soon after launch. Because I think we're all really excited as like the whole Kusama ecosystem to start seeing these parachains interacting with each other. And I think like that's our huge focus is interoperability with these other parachains and seeing what we can start doing together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know we're so excited to see this. We've all waited for a while for this, and yeah, now that it's here, it's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool to see the interoperability. So awesome. Yeah, awesome. Do you have anything else you want to add before we open up to AMA questions from the community?
Um, I think I would just add that, the crowd loan's still open, so you could still contribute your KSM to the Altair crowd loan, and you should do that through Bifrost, so that you can get liquidity for your KSM.
Yeah, got to maximize as much as maximize those gains in a sense. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, I guess we can open up to AMA. So we'll take questions either through the chat or yeah, or if you want to get up on stage and ask your question directly to Cassidy, feel free, everyone. So I'm going to go and open up the stage. Anybody have any questions? Nothing yet. Doesn't look like anybody has any questions at the moment. Always takes people a couple minutes to figure out what they want to ask. Perfect. Yeah, I think we have one. Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up Drip so to ask a quick question. So we got a question. Here we go. Go ahead and invite him on up. I'm inviting them up to speak, so they should be able to click. Yeah, Drip, you should be able to click on just go ahead and accept the invitation to get up and speak. Perfect. There we are.
There we go.
Welcome.
Sorry, sir. It took a
Oh,
second to
yeah, no
pop up
worries.
there.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, so this is a bit of like a convoluted question and might like require a bit of explanation. But I was curious, like, so you were talking about locking collateral against like NFTs or whatever, and how like I was kind of thinking, right, about cross-chain stuff and just like this is the convoluted part is would there maybe be some potential to like for example, if you got a group of people to plant trees, right? And then you tokenize the seeds that were planted. And then over the course of the trees growing, like their lifetime, say maybe you can have those like tokens, I don't know, interact somehow with like NFTs on the remote on the Remark marketplace or something, you know, on State Mine Chain. And like say have an NFT that grows and evolves with maybe the trees over the course of like the time that you lock the LP tokens or something. Would that be possible? Is that like, I don't know, a use case you've thought of at all, or is that just too convoluted? I don't know.
I feel like there's probably a way that you could have these NFTs gain certain functionality over time. Like, I'm thinking, as the trees grow, like that would probably be implemented as like a maybe time dependent or like Oracle dependent as like certain metrics are met. So you could definitely build in like separate from the NFT some sort of contract that has this functionality or like chain that's like watching for this. And so as like certain milestones are met, that NFT gains access to specific things. In terms of like getting getting financing for that asset, the way that it would work is probably that like you could get financing, in one stage of growth. But then you'd probably have to like redeem that NFT and put it into maybe a different pool to get like a different type of financing. So it wouldn't necessarily be that like in the same revolving pool that you could like get different sorts of financing on the asset right then. But it's something that you could definitely like build in that you're watching for these milestones and like once they're met, get like different stages of financing. Maybe I think that could definitely work.
Yeah.
So many options.
Yeah, it was really interesting to consider because like I guess that if you were, let's say, locking these tokens or whatever for an evolving NFT on some other chain or marketplace or whatever, it would kind of come to a point where if it's evolving, um, let's say that you had like your previous NFT locked as like collateral, like I feel like there would have to be some process of unlocking through some sort of programming or some sort of like application that would stop you from essentially having two, NFTs, like the one that was pre-evolved that you no longer should have, obviously. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Thank you for explaining that. It's definitely something that I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of potential there.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And we got another question real quick from Lukman Wanon. I guess if I pronounce that right. Go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask the question. So unmute. There we go. Can you hear us? Okay. Not sure if he's got the. Do you have a question for Cassidy? Might be an audio issue. In the meantime, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, it looks like he dropped off. Okay, cool. Okay, I guess we'll we'll end it a little early if anybody doesn't have any last questions for Cassidy. So Cassidy, want to thank you very much for coming to us and giving us some great info on Altair. It's exciting, and we're rooting for you guys right now. So definitely excited to see what transgresses and comes out of this. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me and thanks for the great questions. And we're really excited to get Altair finally up and running as a parachain. So to make that happen, make sure you contribute your KSM to the crowd loan.
Awesome. Hopefully you guys are celebrating soon. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Thanks.
Arizona.
Thank you.